Hey guys, went out bargain hunting here today and came home with some bargains. Couple of bikes. The first one we have is a GT bike. It's pretty much all rideable. It's kind of rough shape, but it's all rideable. The rims are straight, everything works on it. It's just, really old. It's kind of the bike similar to the bikes that I used to ride probably about 15 years ago. Then the other one I got here is a Mongoose bike. It's got an aluminum frame on it. It's pretty much going to be parts only. Somebody's took it and made it into a single speed bike, and the rims are kind of bent, and it's pretty much just for a couple of parts. And same with this other one behind it as well. There's a couple of good parts on it, but it's going to be mainly parts as well. And then the other one I have is this one here. It's a dyno full suspension bike. The rims on it are good. This one here is rideable as well. The tires are good. The tubes are good. It's I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. I've got another bike or two that could use the parts, but I'll probably end up stripping it out as well. It's a full suspension bike, has your rear suspension as well as your front as well. It comes with the grip shift. It's only an 18-speed bike, not a 21, where the old GT here is a 21. But yeah, we'll wheel them over to the stand here and clamp it in and get at her. Okay, the first thing I like to do when stripping out a bike, deciding what I want to keep or salvage, is deciding what's good on it, what's worn or bent or no good. Pretty much right away you notice the rear derailleur is okay. It's older, but it's still functional. You give the rims a spin, and they're not really bent. They're not 100% true or nothing, but they're better than some of the other ones. The brakes are the older style cross-top brakes. They're not, everything's got the V-style brakes, or they've gone to the disc brake style. The wobbling you see there is just the tire on the rim because it's flat. And then the second thing I do is I go around and I undo all these little bolts here that hold the cable in place. And you go around, you do the front brake, the rear brake, you do the rear derailleur and the front derailleur. And if it's got these little thingies here as well that pinch the cable, keep it from ending up fraying like that, you just give them a little trim. But yeah, you undo all those little welds, or all those little bolts, pull out the cables, and then, go from there. Okay, so once you got the cables all undone and pulled through back up to the front, then you can decide if you want to keep the brake levers or the shift levers. They're older and everything, but they seem to be functional. So the handlebar is okay. It's kind of different, but it's fine. If a guy had to, I suppose he probably could cut it off here to make a So you take your little Allen wrench or whatever you want to use and loosen off this bolt here. Okay, so loosen her off, spin her out a bit, and if this bike's been out in the rain at all or whatever, the stem could be stuck in the steer tube. So what I like to do is give the top of this bolt here a tap with a hammer. Basically all that does there is it loosens off a wedge in the bottom that quite often is rusted in place. And if you get one that's being, stubborn, like this one is, it's rusted in there, it's not coming out. I really don't need the stem at all, and the handlebar is, whatever, it's kind of one-off, it's not really much for resale or, use. Then you just take the parts off you want and leave the rest. Just undo that bolt. Doesn't have to be super loose, just needs to be enough. And you can pretty much twist and slide the brake lever out around the corner and off. And while you're doing it at the same time, if you want to take your shifter levers off as well, you undo here. There's a little screw, you undo that, and then it comes off as well. Once you've got the wheels off, got your brake levers and shifter levers off, drop the wheels, and you have your derailleur here. And I've seen it time and time again where people will actually undo this top one here, top bolt, as well as this one here, just to get the chain out from under it. All you really have to do is undo this one here and just give it a slight little shift, little pinch, kind of squeeze, and the chain will pop out around, because really it's all that's holding the chain in up top here is a little tab. So we'll just undo. So we'll just undo this bolt. Okay, so once you've got the chain out of there, just undo the little nut here. If you see, the bolt goes all the way through to the ear in the frame. Some of the older style, I don't know if you want to call them cheaper bikes, had the kind that go right on your wheel nut with a little, keeper that kept it in the groove. They're okay. These ones here were kind of advanced in technology, I guess you could call it. But once you got it off the bike, slide your little gear back in there you took out previously before taking the chain completely out. Then drop your bolt in, put the back in tight, and yeah, then it's good for parts or whatever, right? Okay, there you go, guys. Once she's pretty much stripped out, you got all the parts off that you want, then she's pretty much ready for the scrap. Got the wheels off, I'm not taking the brakes, not taking the bar, it's whatever, right? I could pull off the cranks and take out the bottom bracket, which is, there's a little shaft here that goes from your left crank to your right crank, or, vice versa, right? That has bearings and stuff in it. I could take that out, but, I've got 2 or 3 of them, and I've got the bearings and everything, so sometimes, most of the times when I get a bike in, most of the times, if it is missing a crank, then I just swap it out with a complete set. Sometimes the little nub or the threaded area on the end of the bottom bracket, bearing assembly is broke off, but I do have spares. So yeah, I guess this one's ready for the old scrap pile. Okay, so the next bike up here is the old Mongoose. This one here, like I said, the guy made it a single-speed bike. Wouldn't be bad, he just kinda, the chain is like super tight on it. There's no derailleur because the threaded area down here, the little ear, they cross-threaded it The rims are bent. You know, they'd be okay, but they're not up to what I like to put on, you know. The front one here is nasty. The front suspension fork is seized. You know, the handlebar and stuff is all rusted. The brake lever, I suppose I could keep it just in case. And yeah, the little bracket here for the seat, I could keep it. And the brake cable. But I want the tires and tubes. And I'll probably keep the aluminum frame. And it's you know, 60-61 aluminum, so I'll keep it. You know, it's probably worth $1 or something. If I get a pile of them, maybe I can find someone to buy me a Hortons for it. But yeah, we'll strip this one out and move on to the next one. But once you got her stripped out to where you feel like that's all you want off it, again, you know, throw her in the pile and move on to the next one. Okay, so now we have the little full suspension dyno here. If a guy had a, you know, use for it or whatever, he could rebuild this one. It's pretty much all here. It needs a couple of new cables and a few things like that. But you know, it's an older bike. It has a few condition issues, has some rust and rot. You know, but you know, yeah, I'm gonna strip this one out. I'll probably strip it completely out. I want to take the fork out of it because it's good, and I'll probably end up taking the bottom bracket as well. So yeah, let's get at her. Okay, to save you the boringness of the repetitiveness, I went ahead and stripped out the bike down to the point of the front shock and steer tube. This is a different style one. It doesn't have the stem that goes into it. The fork actually comes up to here, and then the stem goes over top of the fork, which then bolts down to it. So you do deinstall that, you undo these two here, and then you undo this one here, and then it all should just drop right out. You want to, of course, watch the bearings that are down here and watch the bearings that are up here, and then make sure you save these spacers as well, because they'll come in handy either for reassembly or for use on another project. So yeah, let's get those bolts undone. So you loosen off these side bolts, loosen off, take them out, and you don't have to, you know, if you don't want to remove them all, you don't have to remove them all. And then this top one here, you take it right out of the, right out. And then basically what it does is this bolt here bolts in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see her. It drops and bolts into this little plate right there. It's kind of a little washer looking thingy that you actually install into the fork if you've ever changed one. And once you've got it all undone, lift off your handlebar and stem assembly. We'll set it aside. And these are your the rings I was telling you about. They're basically spacers that allow you to, you know, it takes up the extra room. Also, you know, if you can adjust the stem height if you want it higher or lower, or, you know, whatever, right? Okay, so gently with a little blocking of wood, I gave it a tap, and yeah, I got her all loosened off. So yeah, see, that's their bearings down here. They're pretty dry. They're a little oily, but they're still dry. So we'll just take that out, set it aside. And then this is your top bearing race, little cup here. This is your bearing right there. We'll take that out as well, set it aside. and if you're planning on using this fork assembly or whatever in another bike, I would suggest to pull these out as well. I used to have a fancy little tool that was basically a seat post, and what I've done is I cut it kind of crossways along here and spread them out kind of like a fingers. And what I would do is I'd jam it in the top, give it a hit from the bottom, and it would pop that top cup out. But throughout years and stuff moving and that, I've misplaced it, so I do it the hard way. And yeah, being I can't find my other tool, I take a screwdriver and a hammer. I make sure it's right on the edge, the lip of it, from the steer tube top side down. And then what I do is I just give it a couple taps, and yeah, it pops it out. And it doesn't really damage it at all. You're gentle with it, don't force it, work it around. Then to put it back in, I just line it back up, and I just take a chunk of plywood, or I've recently purchased a slide hammer. I could probably make a little plate or something, give it a gentle couple of taps, work it back in, and yeah, it'll be reinstalled. But to keep everything, straight in my collection of goodies, I put everything back together as if it was, coming back off the bike. So you put your little bearing cup in there, put your bearing, and this is kind of that little wedge piece there that I had to give a little tap. And we put your spacers back on there. And then if you're satisfied with what you got off of the handlebar and the stem and everything, you want to keep all that, then you pretty much just slide that back over top, and then putting this bolt back in it keeps everything all together. And if you ever got to move it, you can move it all in one piece. So yeah, that's pretty much the stripped out frame. The brakes here are just stamped, they're chromed, but they're whatever. I've got, they're nothing really special. I have other spares. The seat's got a rip into it. I might, the post is damaged down here from it striking against the suspension. I might pull this little shock out of it just to have it, for around for maybe another project or a build on my go-kart or something. It looks like it's a fairly, beefy shock. So yeah, basically that's been a strip out of a few bikes here that I picked up and using them for parts. Just got to sort through now what I have and make sure what I got, what I kept aside's good. And we'll probably be doing a rebuild video in the next little while of a new bike. So thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, enjoy.